I think it has been fairly conclusively demonstrated that this pyramid UFO is actually just out of focus, with the triangle shape being bokeh. It's probably just a plane because it moves and flashes like a plane. You can see a summary of all that in my last video. But a few interesting questions remain for the sky-identify nerds out there, like these two triangles. What are they? They are actually stars in the constellation Aquila, called Ocab and Ocab Borealis. I'll explain how I figured this out and how we can use it to get some rough estimates of the speed of the plane-like object. When you are looking to identify stars, it's really helpful to know the date, time and location of the photo or video. We don't really have specifics about this video, but it seems to be related to the events described in the USS Russell logbook, July 14th, 2019, sometime after 9 in the evening. We also have a location, a latitude and a longitude. At the very start of the video we see a constellation of stars. @DylanDTV on Twitter discovered that this was actually Jupiter, Antares and some other stars. We can use the free software Stellarium, enter the location and the time, and then look towards Jupiter, a planet, not a star, and it is a perfect fit for around 9:10 Pacific time in that location. Watching the full video, there's another star that makes a brief appearance. And then we see these two. They're pretty much vertical, and the lower one is a bit brighter, but otherwise not super distinctive, so hard to find. I realized though that the camera did not move very far, and we could roughly track the motion by looking at the clouds after boosting the contrast. So I tracked from the initial position looking towards Jupiter, past the single star, which is probably Rasselhaig, and then on to the two final stars. Bingo! Pretty much at that exact spot there are the two stars Ocab and Ocab Borealis, also called Epsilon Aquilae. This shows that the plane is moving in a straight line and that it flies just under Ocab. Without context, this kind of looks like there's another triangle flying around, but it's just the lowest star of the two, Ocab. And now we've got a good handle on where in the sky the plane is and what the stars are, we can have a bash at estimating its speed. If we take these two stars, Antares and Larawag, we can enter in their celestial coordinates to this calculator and we can see they're about 7.8 degrees apart. We can then scale that up to the diameter of the night vision camera and we find the field of view is 17.2 degrees. At this point in the video, the plane is in the middle and Ocab is nearly at the edge. We know that the plane passes Ocab, so the time it takes to get there is the time it will take to traverse just under half the field of view, about 8 degrees. We time that and it's 10 seconds. So the angular speed of the plane at this point is about 0.8 degrees per second. Looking at the traffic in the area, a typical altitude is around 33,000 feet. Ocab is at around 42 degrees, so let's round that up to 45 degrees as we don't know the exact time. So the plane will be about as far away horizontally as it is high. We can then use Pythagoras to get a line of sight distance of around 45,000 feet. Assuming it's flying perpendicular to us, then we can take the 0.8 degrees per second and see how far along the circumference of a circle of radius 45,000 feet will give you 0.8 degrees. That will show how far the plane moves in 1 second, i.e. the speed in feet per second. We can work this out and do the unit conversion to knots with Google. 45,000 times 2 times pi divided by 360 times 0.8 feet per second in knots, which gives 372 knots, the ground speed. So that's consistent with the plane. But given that Ocab is on a bearing of 100 degrees and the planes in the region are generally on a heading of around 40, then the plane is probably not flying perpendicular to the camera, so the actual speed will be a bit higher, like 400 plus knots, which is the same as the traffic overhead. What if it were just 700 feet up, around 1,000 feet away? That's about 8 knots, around 9 miles per hour, so it could be a nearby drone moving slowly, but I think a plane is a better fit, as we know there were planes there and the angular speed fits and the lights flash exactly like a plane.